Hello, this is Idodmg and welcome back to the channel. Instead of having you watch a super long live stream, I decided to go ahead and summarize my gameplay for you. And we're going to be talking about the first day that I played the multiplayer update, patch 0.9. We're going to talk about multiplayer updates, some overall just general updates to the game, the build that I'm working on, bosses, and more. I hope you enjoy the video. Sit back, relax, and let's talk about Last Epoch. Multiplayer is the highlight of this patch, so let's go ahead and start there. When I very first started, I noticed that the chat in-game has a global setting, kind of like you'd find in an MMO. And there's a lot of people talking in this chat, and I find it to be very distracting from gameplay. Luckily, though, you can go in and turn off global chat. However, I did have an annoying bug where this setting would toggle off, and I'd constantly have to go back in and turn off global. So here's one of the bosses we did in multiplayer. This was with Ethos. He's playing a Necromancer, and I am over on my Spellblade. This is the husk of Elder Pantheon, and the reason I really wanted to show this off was the Lightning AoE received an overhaul in this, and it really telegraphs exactly where that AoE is going to be in a much better way. With this update, I noticed a lot of trends of just combat overall feel, spell actually feeling like they're impactful, different spell effects and things like that. So this was the husk of Elder Pantheon in multiplayer. It went down pretty quickly. Overall, not a bad fight. With multiplayer now being active on Last Epoch, of course, you're going to encounter lag. Here I encountered a little bit of rubber banding. Luckily, this only lasted for this map. I don't know if each zone you go to has a different instance or how it all works, but it seemed like whatever server we were on for this zone, we did have a little bit, at least I had a little bit of rubber banding. Another part of multiplayer I really like, and I guess it's kind of a bad thing, but this was my first death while playing multiplayer. And, you know, it is bad that I died. But what's really cool is when you're playing in multiplayer, you can select anyone in your party and teleport to them. So you can just straight up hit respawn and teleport to your party member that's still going on and just continue slaying monsters. Of course, this won't work if you're playing hardcore, but I found this to be a really cool thing with multiplayer. There's another thing I thought was really cool in multiplayer, and you can do this like maybe if you're trying to do a speed run, or I don't know, maybe your team wants to, really do some serious teamwork or something like that. Anyway, if you've played the game recently at all, you'll know this part where I'm talking about this bridge. You have to find two different parts of the bridge and then activate it to actually be able to cross the bridge. So what you could do is, even if you had 3 players, you could have 2 of the players go get each of the parts, so they split up and get the 2 parts. And then as soon as you have the parts, the third person goes ahead and activates the bridge. I don't know, I think we're going to see other tactics like these come into play with multiplayer now being a part of Last Epoch. Speaking of the bridge and multiplayer, we were talking about rubber banding. There was a little bit of bugs here, and I'm going to point them out in the video just so you're aware. We're not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat the game or anything. The game is great, and it is doing well, and I'm really enjoying it, but there are bugs with multiplayer. Again, it's in beta, so it's to be expected, but I think it's worth noting and pointing out. This is one of them. We got the 2 objects we needed to activate the bridge. However, it would not let us actually do it, and we couldn't complete the quest. Once Ethos left the game and had to go to bed, I guess he was a little bit sleepy, me and Wootlink teleported to town, and then when we came back, it worked. So, at the end of the day, not game breaking, it did seem to resolve itself. Another bug we encountered in multiplayer was this little quest over here. The boss never actually spawned. This was actually towards the end of my play session for the day, and so I'm sure that if maybe we would have restarted the game or perhaps gone to town again and rezoned in here, redone it, it probably would resolve itself as well. But after I make this video, I'm going to jump back in and complete that quest and keep playing. Speaking of which, I hope you're enjoying these videos here. This is just a little summary of my gameplay, and I have fun talking about games, and I hope you have fun hanging out with me here while we talk about Last Epoch. If you are enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's keep going though. There's more to talk about here with Last Epoch and the 0.9 update. So enough about bugs. I want to go ahead and point out some really cool things here that they've added with the update. They've added new monster types, but along with that, these monster types spawn in an interesting way. Some of them, like the bats, will just drop down from the ceiling and bombard you. Other monsters will crawl up from the side of the map. This is a great way to have monsters appear instead of just coming out of the ground or just already being there. This part right here, I wanted to show off this monster density and how the mobs are spawning in back to back. I really enjoyed this segment of gameplay. It was nonstop action, and the monsters did not stop coming at me for a while. I just wanted to go ahead and highlight that. Here's another mini boss. This is the worm boss, I guess. It's called Idol of Loathing or something like that. Anyway, cool little boss fight. But I wanted to show you here, they added in the new monster type, because with new monster types, there's so many things they can do. Now, if you look for the ad phase here, we've always had these little purple void tombs that come up or whatever they're called, and monsters spawn out of them. But they now have the new monsters crawling out of the side of the boss and coming at you as well. Super great, and makes the game feel that much more immersive, and kind of gives that sense of, oh my gosh, monsters could really come from anywhere. I need to be on alert at all times. Great addition, great updates. I love it. Smooth out the bugs and keep improving, keep adding more. This is great. This update is absolutely great. And that's a lot of the multiplayer updates, bugs, and just general updates with the patch that I wanted to talk about. I want to go ahead, and I did a video yesterday talking about my build and my plan, and I kind of just want to go ahead and talk about with how that's coming along. So I finally unlocked Fire Aura. This is going to be a kind of a staple of the build. I have not looked up any build guides, and I don't plan to. I'm really having fun going on my own journey, exploring my own builds, and coming up with my own ideas. It's something I enjoy in action RPGs, and I hope you enjoy talking about them and hanging out with me. So I unlocked Fire Aura here, and at first I felt like it's pretty small. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but then again, this was the Fire Aura just from the Fire Ward ability. I went into the game guide to see if I could find a tooltip for Fire Aura. I later on in my gameplay found out there is a tooltip hidden somewhere within one of the skill trees. But basically Fire Aura plays pretty big into the mage passive tree, and you can convert it to, I believe, lightning or ice. I'm going to keep it as fire for now, and the really cool thing with it is you can stack up the Fire Aura to make it do even more damage. But here's what it looked like, and this is when I first unlocked it. And look at this. It just feels so good. Look at the fire death animations on the monsters as well. All around, I'm impressed with the changes to how the on-death animations are. And so instead of the enemies just sinking down into the ground, they actually die, and you can see which element killed them. You can see them exploding with the fire. Super cool touch. Here you go. Here's another bit more mob density here that I wanted to show off me nuking down with that Fire Aura. Now, I know these are small monsters, but it still looks pretty freaking cool with all that fire killing them. I like Fire Aura. I think it's going to be a load of fun. So if you watch the video of me kind of theory crafting my build and planning out my build, I did not even think of using static, the ability static. It never really crossed my mind. I don't know why, but I did check it out in this playthrough, and I gotta say, I really like this skill. While you're running around, moving, and you can also specialize into the skill to make it so on hit, or when you get hit, you generate these stacks. You can see down there at the bottom left, I'm generating stacks every time I move, up to 100 stacks. And whenever I use it, it consumes all the stacks. And the more stacks you have, the more damage you deal, and it just shoots out lightning. It really does quite a bit of damage. I really like this skill, and make me think of another build we could do that's just built around this skill. And maybe it's more of a utility skill that you could use to weave in as well. There's so many different options in this game. I finally made it to the end time and unlocked my build specialization. This was another update that they changed. You don't have to run through that little gauntlet thing anymore. It's literally just a UI that pops up, and you can choose your mastery. It doesn't feel as special as it used to, but with multiplayer being here, it definitely feels more seamless and more intuitive. Good change, good update to the game. So we finally specialized into Spellblade, the plan all along, and this was my very first time using Flame Reeve. I didn't know what to expect. I have not used this skill before, and I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. I like how fast the ability is, how it pierces. The only thing I don't like about it is how narrow it is. Now, I know you can increase the width of the ability within the skill tree, so I'm definitely going to want to do that for this build. The other thing, too, is this thing costs quite a chunk of mana. Now, you can specialize in to reduce the mana cost, which I am doing, but at first, I thought I tanked my build when I unlocked this ability. My mana was always sapped, and I really didn't know what to do. I was relying on my Fire Aura and my Flame Ward retaliation damage, as well as that static ability. Thankfully, we had Wootlink in the group to kind of carry me through while I kind of figured out exactly how to manage that mana aspect. And it's still a work in progress, but there'll be more videos later on. So again, stay tuned for that. We also specialized into the Fire Aura and the passive tree. And the passive tree, I already mentioned it, is huge for Flame Aura. And to get more stacks, you can put points into there so that when you're moving, you have a chance to gain an aura as well, to gain a fire aura stack. This was a nice touch, so I didn't have to rely on the fire aura from fire ward, flame ward, whatever it is. It just felt good to be moving around and have that aura building up and have it ready for when I went into the next pack of mobs. So far, we've talked about the multiplayer, some general updates, and a little bit of how my build is coming along. I want to go ahead and point out some of the boss fights here, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want to go ahead and talk about some of them and show off how much they've changed and really improved over the last year. So this first one is Pantheon Students, and I really wanted to show off the lightning AoE right here. See that ring of lightning around that is displayed? Instead of just a kind of like transparent purple tinted template on the ground, it actually has a lightning ring around it and makes this template and this skill look so much more just improved and just higher quality in my opinion. And that's a trend we see with Last Epoch. Every update is a significant step in quality of the game. This was one of the mini bosses here, the centipede boss, and I just wanted to show this in the video with my fire aura there. You can kind of see it building ignite ticks with the fire aura. Again, the fire aura was just from my flame ward. I didn't have any other sources of fire aura at this point in my playthrough, but it did help those ignite stacks and help burn down the boss. Here's the temple guard boss, and I wanted to show this off in the video because we had 3 players here. We had Ethos and Wootlink here to help out. They kind of helped out with the ads in the back while I kind of just sat up there and tried to get my ignite stacks from my aura while using my static ability as well. The thing with that static ability too is if you're standing stationary, you're not building up stacks unless you're spec'd into it to get stacks on hit or when you hit or when you get hit. So it's kind of awkward in that regard. But there you go. That was Temple Guard, 3-player multiplayer. And here you go. This boss was stressful when we first got here. Again, Ethos had gone to bed at this point, but me and Wootlink took down the Emperor's remains here. The ads were a little bit stressful with my build, trying to figure out how to get over to them and take them down. And then I realized, oh yeah, I have Lightning Blast. I can just chain lightning between the ads and the boss. That made the fight that much easier, and we had Wootlink's minions there to help as well. It's so great to see multiplayer and to be able to actually play with your buddies finally. In closing, patch 0.9 has added multiplayer, which has been something we've been waiting for nearly 4 years. It's finally in the game with bugs, with issues. However, those issues are not game breaking, and I know that these bugs will be taken care of during beta. The developers of this game are truly dedicated, and many times you will see the games director in the global chat. This is huge. The developers really care. Last Epoch started as an after-hours passion project on Reddit. And look what it's become today. Impressive, amazing. I think this game has a lot of potential in the future. I'm glad that I got to talk to you and hang out with you today and kind of talk about how the build is progressing. I'm excited to see where the build's going to go. And we also showed off some bosses. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me here today and listen to me talk about Last Epoch. I hope you have a great day. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.